Hello students, this is Becca Arnold and this is some comments on the foreign exchange market. I've been given in this new program I use only 15 minutes to do this, so we'll see if I can do it all in one part or if we need to go to part two. The first question about the foreign exchange market is, why does it exist at all? The foreign exchange market is the trading of one currency for another. We're going to be using the example of euros and dollars, so we'll be buying and selling euros and dollars. But the question is, why do we want to do that? So basically, we purchase currency when we want to purchase either goods and services that are produced in another country or assets, which would be like stocks, real estate, bonds would mean we're loaning to another country. Whenever we do that, even though we may pay for something that's made in a foreign country, we may pay for it with dollars. At some point, those dollars get changed into the currency from the other country in which it was produced. So whenever that exchange takes place, it hits the foreign exchange market, and it shows up numerically on the balance of payments sheet, which you'll be familiar with later if you're not already. And it shows up graphically on the market for dollars and the market for euros. Now I'm assuming here, as you probably guessed, that we're exchanging dollars for euros. This is the exchange graphs between dollars and euros. So in the market for dollars, the price of dollars is actually euros, because we're going to pay for dollars with euros. Remember, we're exchanging euros for dollars. So you could just write euros, or you could write euros per dollar. And I'm going to assume here that it costs 1.2 euros to buy a dollar. On the market for euros, which is basically the other side of the same market, it is the same market, just expressed in a different way, we pay for euros with dollars. So dollars per euro. And when we want to find the exchange rate, if it costs 1.2 euros to buy a dollar, then it costs 1 over $1.2 to buy a euro. It's the reciprocal. Now, let's get a little more clear by why I say that these are exactly the same market, just expressed in a different way. I'm going to draw real quickly here an exchange rate booth. Here's a lady standing at the booth. I've never been known for my artistic virtues. And she's at a booth that specifically works with dollars and euros. And in line to exchange for her are two women with big purses. Green women. And these women have euros in their purses. So when they walk up to this lady, they're going to sell her euros and buy dollars. Selling euros, buying dollars. So they're going to show up both in the market for euros and in the market for dollars. Let's see where they're going to show up. They have euros, they want dollars. So here, draw the green women, they're going to be the demand. They want dollars, so in the market for dollars, they're the demand. They're purchasing. But in the market for euros, they're actually the sellers, right? Let's look again. They're walking up there, they're selling the lady euros, and they're buying dollars. So on this side, they're the sellers. Didn't mean to draw that with two heads, but oh well. Behind them, I'm going to very quickly draw purple men. I'm back with that two-head thing. Oh well. Now these two men are carrying briefcases with dollars in them. So they're doing the opposite. The women went with euros, sold euros, bought dollars. They're selling dollars and buying euros. So let's see who they are. People with dollars who want euros would be the supply in the market for dollars, and they would be demand in the market for euros. Remember? They've got dollars. They're walking up to her saying, "Here's my dollars. I demand euros." Hopefully they're being a little more polite than that. But they're supplying dollars. They're demanding euros. I put in my numbers. This was 1.2. This was 0.83. This is euros per dollar. And this is dollars per euro. Now again, this isn't necessarily the people who are the final purchasers making these transactions. I just used that as an easy example. It could be whenever and whoever exchanges the dollars for euros. Check my time left. I have 4 minutes and 18 seconds left. All right, let's move on. May have to go into a part 2. So what we want to know now is what can cause these curves to shift. Because you can see that the equilibrium point is what determines the exchange rate. So when we talk about what can cause these curves to shift, remember we said that these curves and the demand and supply were determined by the desire for goods and services and assets. So that suggests that anything that changes the desire for goods and services and assets will cause a curve to shift. Now we don't have 5 or 6 or 7 determinants the way we did with the demand and supply for products. But what we do have is some fairly major categories. And we're going to go through 1, 2, and 3 here. And the first one is a recession or expansion in one of the countries. That will affect the goods and services that someone will desire. It will also affect assets, but the primary effect is going to be on goods and services, so that's what we'll work with. So let's assume that the U.S. is in a recession, and we'll just go back and take a look here. So if the U.S. is in a recession, we are not going to buy very much, or not as much, goods and services made in the United States. We're also not going to buy as many goods and services from Europe. We're simply not buying as much. So if we wanted to look at this, what's less? Is there less women with euros going to this exchange booth, or is there less men with dollars? There's less men with dollars. The recession's in the United States. We're not going to be buying as much from Europe, so we're not going to be exchanging as many dollars for euros. So there'll be less people with dollars who want euros, and that is the supply curve in the market for dollars. So the supply curve is going to shift to the left. In the market for euros, the people with dollars who want euros, the men, are actually, remember, the demand. So in this market, it's going to be the demand that shifts to the left. So we have the same curve shifting we have the opposite curve shifting in the same direction. Supply shifts left here, demand shifts left here. So we're just going to, for the new quantities, put Q2 because we still don't know how many euros and dollars are exchanged. And I'm going to, again, make up a number here, and I'm going to put 1.3. So I'm going to assume that where it used to cost 1.2 euros to buy a dollar, you can see my new price is higher, so I'm going to put 1.3. And that means this is divided by 1.3. 1 divided by 1.3. And let me look at my calculator here. 0.77. So my next question is, what currency gained in value and what currency lost value? So the terms that we use here are appreciate and depreciate. All right, I have to start thinking about going into part 2, but we can finish this. So if a currency appreciates, it gains value. If a currency depreciates, it loses value. Let's look and see what happened. So it used to cost 1.2 euros to buy each dollar, and now it costs 1.3. That suggests that the euro is now worth less. I seem to be going the wrong way. So the euro depreciated here. In terms of the dollar, it used to cost 83 cents to buy a euro, and now it only costs 77 cents. So the dollar appreciated. Good grief. Dollar appreciated. That is a dollar. So I'm going to stop here, and when we do part 2, we'll figure out what goes on with this particular change and with this particular change. And hopefully we will have time in part 2 to talk about fixed versus floating exchange rates. If not, we'll go on to a part 3. So I'll see you on the next tutorial.